The Exorcist. The main character of this movie is not the little girl who gets possessed, or her mother, or the titular exorcist, Father Merrin. No, the main character of this movie is Father Karras. It's a movie about somebody exorcising his personal demons. Let's look at this movie in terms of destiny, psychology, and personal demons. A girl will be possessed, but first a long prologue with a story that goes back much further than that. The demon knew it would kill Father Merrin. When looking at fragments out of time, out of space, time itself stopped. The clock stops abruptly. Merrin is surprised by this, when the other man doesn't even seem to notice. Merrin sensed the foreboding. He had a destiny. It was a destined rendezvous with a monster. He won against this entity before, but next time he was destined to lose. The old homeless man in the otherwise empty subway was the first to be possessed. The demon assumed Karras would take pity on him, and then the demon would have had him right there, or could have. Notice his face flashes like the demon face throughout the movie. This is how the demon knew the statement, "Can you help an old altar boy, Father?"
Can you help an old altar boy, Father?
No one else could have heard that. Then again, it also knew Karras' mother died. It seemed to be omniscient, similar to how God is supposed to be, or the devil. The old man may have been easy to possess, but not Father Karras, not yet. If it didn't possess the old man, how could it have known, what no one else could have heard, the plea for alms that is repeated later by the possessed Regan? Was the demon even physically there, hovering nearby perhaps? Or was it already in Karras' mind? The demon could have been some kind of psychological mirror, reflecting whoever was interacting with it. In Karras' case, his extreme psychological problems were his guilt in losing his faith, his guilt about his mother, even inducing a hallucination of her, resulting in what I think might be the scariest line in any horror movie.
You're not my mother!
Karras' dream after his mother dies also foretells the future. A medal of St. Christopher is seen falling. The medal and chain fall right before he is possessed, in a way ripping the last bit of his faith in God away, allowing him to be fully possessed. But even if his faith in God was gone, his humanity was still there, and he was able to defenestrate himself, and luckily killing himself as well as the demon. Also luckily, the demon is gone by the time Karras was almost dead. We know it was 100% Karras because he answered affirmatively that he wanted a last rites and confession and confessed all his sins. Ego te absolvo. The demon knew it would possess Father Karras by claiming that it would bring them together, not Regan and the demon.
You and Regan. You and us.
But Father Karras and the demon, you and us. The demon knew Father Dyer would be reading Father Karras' last rites.
Ego te absolvo.
When asked if he knew Latin, of all things, the demon says, Ego te absolvo. Destiny fulfilled. In addition to mirabile dictu, which could be translated to wonderful to relate, as it may relate to the two psychological entities, the demon saying he is a part of Karras. This demon was real. It was also unreal, as we know physical entities. It moved through time and space like dimension hopping, because it is like a dreamlike entity, or you might say nightmare. Time and space don't operate the same in dreams. Maybe they don't operate the same outside of this reality, this dimension where this thing manifested. It manifested like a subconscious problem from the darkest depths of the mind, which can be considered a bottomless abyss, getting forever deeper the further you look. As Nietzsche would say, Father Karras looked into this abyss and was met back with the same icy stare. This demon was more than a physical entity. It seemed to travel across time and space, revealing and fulfilling the destinies of both priests. It lied about being the devil. It lied about Regan dying from its possession. It even lied about not being able to rip the straps, which eventually it does. It's like the demon just wanted to go through the entire ritual in order to kill Father Marin as revenge for a previous exorcism, and eventually get to Karras, who the demon rightfully knew was having an existential crisis and had almost lost his faith in God. Regan, as an innocent child, lacked the knowledge of a viciously brutal world that an adult may come to learn, the knowledge of true good and true evil. It took some time to get to her. Her possession was very slow, unlike Father Karras' eventual possession, which went from 0 to 100 in a nanosecond. That possession was the ultimate goal of the demon, which is why it was so fast, and it happened as soon as the saint trinket, a symbol of his faith, falls. So why possess Regan and Father Karras at all? Was the demon even a real entity? The many doctors didn't think so. But Regan's mother, and eventually Father Karras, knew better. Still then, who or what was it? It claimed to be no one. But then again, the demon is a liar, so we don't really know if that was true. If it was true, and if the demon wasn't really a someone, then it was some other thing or even a concept. The concept of what Carl Jung might call a deep subconscious. If your own faith in humanity is akin to being like Christ, then the total loss of that faith is the Antichrist. This is what happened to Father Karras. If his thoughts and feelings didn't really summon the demon, then it certainly made him vulnerable to it. Then how did the demon get into Regan? It doesn't exactly move through space or even time the way we know. The clock stopping abruptly is an indication to us, the audience, of what we're dealing with. Otherwise, the pendulum would have just slowed down, swung a little bit. The fact that it went from Iraq to MacNeil's attic tells us it doesn't move through space like getting on a transatlantic flight. It moves almost through dimensions. This is true especially if you consider the dimensions of time and space, 4D and 3D, and the possibility of more unseen dimensions that are not and maybe even cannot be understood by anyone in this dimension. Dimensions that may include traversing across, in, and out of a human mind. And this thing broke through from somewhere, somehow. Was it the devil? In a way, it was. It ended up being Karras' personal devil. He needed to overcome this devil for his own salvation. Ironically, he needed to let his religious faith drop to 0, an empty tank, to totally 100% believe that this thing was a real demon, a real Antichrist, for it to be able to enter his body and leave this little girl. And by doing so, he was able to save the girl, exorcise the demon, repent for his sins, including suicide, and finally be saved. Throughout the movie, Karras was lost. He was lost in his vocation, feeling unfit to save the faith of other priests, unsure what to do with his ailing and aging mother, and lost his faith in his religion and his God. He found his calling and fulfilled his own destiny, a destiny even the demon knew would be fulfilled. Even the demon knew, through its taunting of ego te absolvo, that Karras would eventually be saved. It was Father Karras' humanity that saved the girl and saved himself. It was his ironic departure from faith in God that allowed him to fully believe the dark possibilities of creatures like this demon that can exist in this world and can exist in the human mind. Going through life in our daily lives, most of us cannot even fathom the possibility of these demons. And in a meta way, the realness of this movie. The demon in this movie is scarier than any other horror movie villain. It is not a physical monster that we can overcome with conventional methods. It is a fragment from the depths of your soul, waiting to pounce at just the right moment, if you let it. The events in this movie can happen if we are not careful, and if we let ourselves sink into such a low vibration, then an entity like this can manifest in some way. In Father Karras' case, he prevailed. In the end, he overcame his demons.